Meeting of Siloam Springs Planning Commission to order. Roll call, please.
Song.
Here.
Montgomery.
Here.
Sally.
Here.
McKinney.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Renard.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Will you please join me in pledge of allegiance to our nation's colors? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. I would ask those in the audience and commissioners, if you have electronic devices that like to make noise, please put them on mute or don't be disturbing the chairman. You've all been given minutes of the March 8th meeting. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion
I'll second.
and a second to approve the minutes of the March 8th meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First item on tonight's agenda is Special Development Permit 22-04. Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Planning Commission. I'm Ben Rhodes, Senior Planner. So before you is a significant development permit and also a lot split. And this is to build a roughly 1,800 square foot drive-through restaurant. This is coming for you because the paving is over 20,000 square feet on the site. In addition to that, they are also proposing to split off roughly an acre of land for this development, and that lot split will go to the board on May 3rd. And this is located at 400 Highway 412 West, which is just to the east side of Walgreens, if you know where that's located. So here is the site plan. Some notable features just to point out is there is an existing driveway on the site, even though it currently isn't developed. We are considering that as an existing driveway because the curb cuts are already in there. And so they will be utilizing that driveway, and vehicles will come in as a right-in, right-out because of the median. So obviously you can't make a left out of this spot. But you would come in this direction, and then you would circle around in a counterclockwise fashion to get out. There's angled parking. We have the dual drive-through lanes that will then merge back together with the single lane with drive-through pickup on the east side of the structure. As I mentioned, there's the lot split. So here you can see the lot that they're proposing to split out there. That's significant for the review because, as you know, drive-through uses that abut residential require a special use permit in addition to the significant development. With a lot split, then this property becomes detached from residential, so there'll be a new lot basically between the restaurant and the backs of the residential homes. So that lot split basically means that they do not need to have to do the special use permit. Here you see the aerial of just what this will look like when overlaid on the environment. Again, with the Walgreens to the left there, and the car wash next door with a single entrance and an out, and then the other lot to the south, which will have its own access off of South Elm Street. And then the landscaping, we see ample trees planted around the perimeter as well as shrubs. And then the elevations of what the restaurant will look like. And then the site itself. Staff is recommending approval with two conditions. The first is obviously regarding the needed lot split. That does need to be filed for record prior to building permit issuance. And the second condition is met at this point. It wasn't when we put out the staff reports, but since that time, the applicant did provide a revised photometric plan that does meet the criteria needed. So that condition is now moot. So with that, we are recommending the approval, and we're available for any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this issue? Okay, commissioners, do you have any questions of Mr. Rhodes?
Thought I saw it in here. There's gonna be a fence along the south side of the property, isn't there, on the back side?
Well, they're not required to put a fence in because they're not abutting any residential, but I don't believe they were going to put a fence in. No fence. Yeah, he's saying there's no fence. Yeah, they're not required to. They only are required to when they're abutting against a residential property. So.
Seems like kind of a loophole considering what we've required of others, but I know it's not abutting, so.
Ben, that lot split off, is that gonna be R2 or commercial?
I believe it is zoned commercial, but let me go back to the map. Yep. See, that's C2 right there, right to the south.
Do you have any other questions from commissioners? Any other thoughts? Well, I don't see any, so I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the significant development permit ST 22-04, subject to the stated conditions.
I have a motion for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, I have a,
We have 2 seconds.
Sally seconded. Okay, I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Sally,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Renard,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Song,
Yes.
Montgomery.
Yes.
Okay, motion is approved. This will go to the board on May the 3rd. Next item on the agenda is preliminary plat development, PP 22-02. Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commission. So what you're looking at is a preliminary plat to create a 38-lot subdivision. This will have multiple housing types. So we're looking at R3, R4, which is the R3 is a 2-family, R4 being the multifamily, and then you have the commercial on either side. If you were here in 2019, you would be familiar with this project. This was called Trail Point. It was approved with the zoning as shown here on the map at the time. However, the developer did not start the project, and the rule is that they have to start the project within 365 days of approval or the project expires. And so this has expired. And so what they're doing now is basically coming back to start this over again. The project is pretty much identical to what it was in 2019. There are a few minor changes. The street is a bit wider. I believe they widened the street by, I think, 2 feet. And then they also are doing this in phases. So if you can see, the original plan was on the left. That was what was approved. And then on the right is the update. And we have these turnarounds. That's what these little red areas are looking at. That's a temporary T section for emergency apparatus to be able to turn around at the dead end, basically until the next phase is completed. And then when that next phase is completed, the developer will remove that and create the street network as you see. This will also, just to remind you, it will connect the end of South Point to Waukesha, so there'll be one continuous street. If you've ever been at the end of South Point, you'll know that that's just basically a dead-end street without a cul-de-sac or anything there, so this will connect right through there. And we do have the detention up on the top left corner, which is the same as before. And here you do see the property as appears today, looking to the north. And we did not feel we needed any conditions on this, it being pretty straightforward project. One thing I neglected to mention is there was, we did reach out to the developer specifically about the parking, and he has confirmed that these units each will have a dedicated parking spot, so there wouldn't be any issues with that. And with that, we are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address this item? Commissioners, any questions you have of Mr. Rhodes or staff? Well, seeing none, I will entertain the motion.
I'd make a motion to approve PP-22, sorry.
Have a second? I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McKinney,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Renard,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Song,
Yes.
Montgomery,
Yes.
Sally.
Yes.
Motion is approved. This will also go to the board on May the 3rd. Next item on the agenda is preliminary plat development permit PP 22-03. Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Chairman and Commission. So another preliminary plat. This one also is a plat that's being redone that you have looked at before. In fact, this was only from last year. It was called the Fox Meadow preliminary plat, if you might recall. 600 to 700 block of Lake Francis Drive. As you see, it's the extent of the project is still in the same location, just on the north of Lake Francis Drive. And the proposal now is to plat to 9 single-family lots. So here you see on the left what was in the original plan. They were going to do a cul-de-sac, essentially, that came off of Aspen and with individual lots going in off of either side of that, which would be done as 2-family, with the access being off of the new cul-de-sac. So that's the old plan. The new plan, as you can see, is over here on the right. And what will happen is these will be 8 individual lots that will access directly onto Lake Francis Drive. So there'll be no new street. We're just platting lots right off of Lake Francis. And because the width of the lots are as they are, they're not eligible for 2-family development duplex. So they can only be built as single-family detached units. So that was going to be a change from before. Also, what the engineer did for us is show the locations of the driveways. That's what these are done right here. And we did that with the intention of, where we could, to do a shared access driveway. So we didn't want to have 8 individual driveways coming out onto Lake Francis. We're trying to limit access as much as possible for traffic safety. So these driveways will be shared access between the 2 lots, with the exception of lot 3, because it's an odd number of lots. You have to have 1 lot that is on its own. The lot 9 will be the largest. Obviously, this one will be eligible for a 2-family unit if they wanted to, because it is, as you can see, considerably larger than the others. Although my understanding, the developer is not, his intention is not to build on that right away, but some point down the road there may be another project or building permit on that lot. The detention is on the top right. The other thing to point out is, you may be wondering, well, why, if this is just platting these lots, why is this not just immediately a final plat, which we sometimes would see. That the reason for that is there is a public line, a sewer line that has to be built as part of the project, and so that needs to be inspected and tested and everything. So that would happen as part of the preliminary plat review process, and then when that line's put in, they would come back with a final plat. So here you see the property. You'll note one thing to point out is the driveways here are facing onto the side streets. So any driveway coming out here is not going to have impacts with driveways from across the street. There's nothing across the street, so they're going to have independent access in and out without any trouble. So with that, we, like the last one, we're recommending approval with no needed conditions, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Is there anyone from the audience that would like to address this issue? Commissioners?
Dan, did we ever start on didn't we have a significant improvement for the road that was scheduled to start out there soon?
Yes, Justin Bland is here. I believe it's going to start in the summer. Is that right? Yeah, he's shaking his head. So this project is, they're working out a way to do a sort of a fee in lieu for the street improvements to tie into the bid for that project, is what I understand. So,
Okay.
yep.
And I think we also approved a project there. Wasn't there a retirement community? that was
Yes.
maybe gonna start?
Right next door there, yeah.
And-
We just issued the building permit for that, so.
Okay, and so, and I think I asked this at another meeting, we don't think there'll be an issue with the improvement to the road going on while there are two neighborhoods being built, and they're gonna need that road.
My understanding, and it should not be a problem, but I can refer to the city engineer if he wants to comment on that.
Justin Bland, city engineer. Yeah, I mean, we'll keep that road open during construction. I mean, there may be temporary, closures here or there, but for the majority of that, it'll be open. And with there being access from the east and the west, I mean, we'll be able to keep access through both sides as needed.
Justin, can you remind us again, St. Francis is widening, how much?
Oh, the road there, I believe it's going up to it's either 29 or a 30-foot width. So it'd be, basically two, 14-foot lanes more or less was what we'll end up with there.
Any other questions of Justin or Ben?
Ben, those lots look fairly deep, and looking at those driveways, what's the depth of the driveway compared to say the home that will be there? I mean, are people going to just like have one car spot to pull in and park if it's like the driveway in the garage? Or will it be deeper than that? Will there be room for them to turn around there?
Well, the developer intentionally wanted the lots deeper. You can tell even looking at the lots from the left to the right that on the right they do go further back into the property. And what that does is that does allow for additional space for vehicles to maneuver. It's really hard to know exactly the configuration because we don't have any building permits yet.
Right.
I mean, technically they can build up to the setback line, and that's the requirement. But obviously, for maneuverability, I believe that the buildings will probably be set back further than just the minimum setback. That's a conjecture on my part. Obviously, I don't know for sure, but
Right, that's my only concern with it is with Lake Francis being a pretty busy street already, when all the improvements are made, will it be a street that there's no street parking allowed?
well, I mean, the board of directors would have to vote whether there'd be no on-street parking or not. I can't comment on that.
Ben, a couple of years back, and I believe it's on Dogwood, that they had a development with deep lots. Are these lots here similar in width to those that were on Dogwood at the time?
Yeah, I think it was called Dogwood Meadows, I believe. But anyway, yeah, that was it's the same developer actually.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I believe that would be similar sized lots with similar style of construction. That's what
I know that when that was done, I was on the commission then, and I had a little concern because of the width of the lots and the depth of the lots, it was, but if this is similar, that turned out real nice over there. You okay?
My allergies are making me crazy, so forgive me.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Do we have any other questions of Ben? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve preliminary plat development permit PP 22-03.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Smith,
Yes.
Renard,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Song,
Yes.
Montgomery,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
McKinney.
Yes.
Motion is approved. This will go to the board on May the 3rd. Next item on our agenda is rezoning development permit RZ 22-04.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Chairman and Commission. So we're switching gears from preliminary plats to rezoning. We're at 2600 block of North Country Club Road, and this is to rezone several industrial zoned properties. These are I-1 properties into R2 single family and C2 roadway commercial. And here we see the site plan. So we got, this is Country Club on this side, and then we got Brashears down at the bottom. And so what they're proposing is this one to be kept as a commercial lot. In theory, to be maybe combined with, at one point, over with the lots to the east there at one point, but at this time, it's just going to be for this one lot, and then the remainder to be as R2 single family. Here you see the future land use map, and so you see the reasoning behind the city request to get this to be C2 is because we do have commercial along the frontage here for Brashears Road, and then medium density family to the north there. So we believe with the request of the one commercial lot to the south, and then the remainder being more or less consistent with that medium density family for the R2 zone. Here you see the property. So some things to point out here is the owner has attempted to try to sell these properties for a number of years as industrial and have not had any movement with them or any interest. And that's mainly due to the limited lot size. Even if all the lots were combined, industrial properties, as you can see, off to the right there, need considerably more space. And so it just hasn't been very, very successful in terms of development with that zoning. The second thing to point out is that, as you know, coming up this corridor, there is a emerging residential element going on here. We got this is Mission Hill, Endura Park, Nottingham, and then we got another approved one over there called Castlewood, all residential development, so of different densities. So it would make sense, you do have the break with the electric substation, and then you would have this property being primarily for the R2, and then you have the C2 down there as the single lot, and then this lot would be off property. So we have received one call of a questioning nature. They just were wanting to know what was going on and with the zoning and whatnot. We informed the caller of what was happening. And then with that, we are recommending approval, and we're available for any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address this issue? Very good. Commissioners, do you have questions of Ben? Okay, I'll entertain the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve RZ 2204 rezone development permit.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Bernard,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Song,
Yes.
Montgomery, Sally,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Okay, motion is approved, and this will go to the board on May the 3rd. Next item on our agenda is Special Use Development Permit SU 22-02.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Chairman and Commission. So this is a special use development permit for a short-term rental. I think you all are familiar with these from last couple of months. We've had a lot of these that we've looked at. We're at 130 Dogwood Place. As you see, this is the location of the one lot. Dogwood Place is sort of a little side street that comes off of North Dogwood. It's purely residential. This is the letter that provided by the applicant. Essentially indicates their desire to use this property as a natural fit for short-term rentals due to its proximity to John Brown University in the downtown. And it is a unique styled house that they believe will lend to that market for short-term rentals. And here is the property. It's never been lived in. It's a new build. And so this is literally last stages of the construction. And then we took a picture ourselves just of the site looking to the north. It's a little bit later. You see the deck has been put in there. We did receive a call of questioning nature just on the purpose of the permit, and that also came in after the staff report came out. And with that, we are recommending approval. So thank you.
Okay, is there anyone in the audience who would like to address this issue? Please come to the podium, give us your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Laura Hesselink. I'm at 1502 Holly Place. We live on the back side of this property. The nature of my question is mostly about boundary lines. I believe it's the same builder that has also built the two neighboring houses. And so far, our boundary line has been driven over a couple of times. I'd called the city about it, and I'm wondering if it is a short-term rental, what measures are being taken to ensure that the guests understand where the boundary lines are? Because our property is very woodland and does not necessarily look like somebody's backyard. How are they going to express that it is not just public property and that there is a boundary? The other was that if they erect fences, is that part of their plan? I'm hoping that they would not. They're ugly and they stop the deer. The other thing was whether or not this is the only house that they are wanting to be a short-term rental, or are the other two houses built with that same intent?
Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any questions that they would like?
My name is Deborah Raisdana. I'm also at 1502 Holly Place. My questions kind of have to do more with just the kind of the oversight. I thought I read someplace, and I'm not sure where, but just this understanding of if this is going to be a lot of different people coming in and out and there's nobody living there, I don't want to have to be calling police if there's going to be, lots of noise or parties or things like that. It's a very, very quiet area. Like you said, that area that is all woods, we've got deer, there's fox, we've got a couple of golden hawks that live in there. So it's really, there's a lot of wildlife that actually live there, and my sister and I have tried very hard to protect that and keep that quiet and a nice area. So if there's nobody staying there, how is there gonna be some oversight of that, and if you're gonna have a lot of people coming, what about, parties, people throwing beer cans? You can't tell from here, but this is extremely steep. So just kind of wondering too, if this is geared towards JBU parents and stuff. I think a lot of times they come for things like graduation. Until you get over there, it's like the parking on there, like that road is really narrow. I don't know how they would have more than one person be able to or two people at the most, but to get in and out of there, I'm just kind of wondering. I had looked at an October 12th planning meeting that Wade Baker had sent me about how they were minimizing how many people were staying at some of the short-term rentals, who they were targeting, saying no parties. I just don't see any of that for this. And so just kind of wondering, is there advertising? Is there oversight? The letter that we got from, I guess it was Mr. Jones, did not have his name on it. It just had some initials, and it actually said that the meeting was on the 5th. So my sister and I showed up here last week. So I'm just a little concerned if the letter we got was not like real clear. How is this property going to be managed so that the unique nature of that backyard would be taken care of? Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else that needs to address this?
Mr. Chairman, I'm Ward Jones. My son Jared is the developer and builder. Ward Jones Realtors is the contractor of these properties.
Can you, for the record, give us your address, please, Mr. Jones?
I'm actually living at 3118 Terrace Drive in Grove, Oklahoma.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. So, number one, we apologize if we disrupted the stakes. That was unintentional, and it won't happen again. When we do the final grade and everything, all that stuff should be cleaned up and won't be bothered again. The second house is pending with the Benton County Sheriff's Deputy to be a permanent residence. The third house has no intention of being a rental. He intends to sell it as a single-family home. This particular house is also pending, but it's pending to someone that is going to do a short-term rental. And the price itself of this house and the rent for this house is prohibitive to bad behavior. And the intention is to, try to tie and offer a good short-term rental for the JBU clientele and all of the high-end clientele in Siloam Springs. I can't say that there won't be parties, but it's not a formula that would be conducive to that. So I think that the short-term rentals in Siloam Springs, and I know Ben can verify, or have not really been a problem to my knowledge. And so I'll be glad to answer any more questions.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else from the audience that would like to address this issue? We thank you for your input, commissioners.
Ward, did you say anything about fences? Did she ask about fences?
I have no plans to do fences.
No fences, okay.
I'm sorry I didn't answer.
Okay, thank you.
But it is zoned so that if someone wanted to put up a fence, they could put a fence up there? Just trying to clarify the question for our guests.
Yes, I mean, there's not a rule that you can't put a fence up, so, yep.
There is a topographical
I've seen
issue
it,
with a
yeah.
fence. It's not even something that someday we'll consider.
Any commissioners, do you have any other questions of Mr. Rhodes? Hearing no other questions, I will entertain a motion.
I motion to approve SU 22-02 special use development permit.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve SU 22-02. Roll call, please.
Williams,
Yes.
Song,
Yes.
Montgomery, Sally, McKinney,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Bernard.
Yes.
Motion is approved, and it will go to the Board of Directors on May the 3rd, 2022. That completes the special use. The rest of the agenda, Commissioners, do you have any questions on the staff-approved permits that is on the agenda? Seeing no questions, I'll entertain the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.